What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Finn's Faithful Podcast. Thanks for joining us on this Monday evening. I hope everybody had a good weekend. All the moms out there had a great Mother's Day weekend. And the Dolphins were also busy this weekend. They had their rookie mini camp. You can't tell much from it, but we got to see them. Our first impressions of them in their uniforms, their numbers. They spoke, and there were some, I think the media got to watch about 20 minutes of practice. So we'll give you our first impressions and all that. But more importantly, this is going to be a Texas-themed show, and what other co-host to have on? Second time on the show, birthday boy, Jonathan. You know him as Honorary Titan on X. He's going to join us, and at the top of the show in a minute here, we're also going to be joined by Eric Henry, Texas beat writer from Horns 24/7, give us his insight on Quinn Ewers and the University of Texas. But like I mentioned, birthday boy Jonathan, thank you for spending your birthday with us here on the Finn's Faithful Podcast and the viewers. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you having me on. Excited to be here.
We already got the dive bar, and we're excited to have Eric out. Let's not waste no time. Let's bring in our the hat. Let's bring in our guest, Eric Henry, Texas beat writer, formerly covered FIU, so he's familiar with the area here. We were just talking backstage, but Eric Henry, Texas beat writer, who covered Quinn Ewers over there in Texas for Horns 24/7. Eric, thank you, man. I know you were traveling today. Thank you for making the time and joining us.
Oh, man, not a problem. First off, Jonathan, happy birthday, my man. Happy birthday.
Thank you, man.
George, you talk about, knowing the area well. Yeah, man, I spent 6 years covering FIU, a former Lauderhill resident here before I made the move out to Austin, and on my way back home, excited to get back home to Tampa, and I'll make my way down to South Florida. So I got a lot of friends down there, family in South Florida, so excited to be making my way. Currently in a hotel room in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, splitting the drive in two.
Oh, okay.
So making a couple minutes to hop on here, so I appreciate y'all having me on.
I appreciate it. Everybody giving you the happy birthdays. Shout out to the Dive Bar Podcast. You got the hat, Jonathan.
I do.
So those guys are great. We love them over there. I could be making an appearance. I'm not going to spoil it this week on the Dive Bar. Finn, Sammy, how you doing? And Finn's TV. All right. So let's jump into it here. I'll start here. What was the buzz going into the draft before we get into his career there? Kind of a Quinn. What was the range you thought everybody was talking about he'd go? Did you guys think who covered the team was it third, fourth round, or did it surprise you? Because everybody's talking about Shedeur. If there was no Shedeur, people would be talking about the Quinn slide, right, Eric?
Nah, George, Jonathan, absolutely. I mean, you asked me what was kind of the thought, what was kind of the consensus. There wasn't one. You could ask people, some of the more veteran beat writers. I'll shout out Anwar Richardson, who does a great job covering Texas for Orange Bloods, also a Florida guy as well. So I'll give him a shout out there. But Anwar, depending on how you kind of feel, might have been a little bit different. For me personally, and again, this was the range of all the Texas kind of beat writers. It was all over the place. I personally didn't see Quinn Ewers falling any further in the fourth round, if for no other reason because of the fact that the NFL places a premium, and I would say probably overvalues quarterbacks, right? Like how many quarterbacks have we seen over the past 15, 20 years who, go up a round, move up, 2 rounds just because teams need quarterbacks. I look at Will Levis, for example, in Tennessee, right? Like that one seems pretty straightforward. I'll even give you a more, I guess a dated example, but I look at Jake Locker, for example, right? So when Steve Sarkeesian coached at Washington, and Steve Sarkeesian personally got him into the first round, or Matt Jones, another person who Steve Sarkeesian coached, got him into the first round, right? It was clear those guys weren't first-round talent. So I say all that to say, personally, I thought Quinn wouldn't fall any further than round 4, if for only the reason that the NFL tends to overvalue quarterbacks, and just being quite frank, and this may lead to some of the other questions. Yeah. Quinn, from a physical perspective, remember, the kid was the number 1 overall recruit in the nation. It's not like he's, some kid with a pencil arm who can't sling it, right? Quinn can throw the football in a T-shirt and shorts. If there's one thing the NFL values, it's being able to do it in a T-shirt and shorts in a combine setting, in a pro day setting. So I thought that would boost him up. Clearly, as I think you mentioned, George, the Shedeur factor, him dropping, I think had a domino effect for other quarterbacks, including Quinn.
Yeah. You mentioned, like, before we got to talk about his coming out of high school. Quinn was, like, I don't think people realize he wasn't just a top quarterback. Like, how big was Jonathan? You can even jump in here because you're also huge. Long, either one of you guys, he was a just a social media darling recruit, like number one, as hyped as you get, right?
Jonathan, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah. So Quinn's family lived down here in Pleasanton, Texas, south of San Antonio. Um, so our area doesn't really get a lot of like recognition from like bigger colleges and stuff. South Lake Carroll is like a staple high school football
Right.
team in the state of Texas. So I think his family do better. They moved him there to South Lake Carroll, and he got his name out there and stuff. And he was tearing it up in high school. I remember the Cade Klubnik game and all that. So, I mean, I've been watching Quinn since high school.
Yeah, what Jonathan first was the Cade Klubnik game. Cade Klubnik, former Clemson quarterback, with Austin Westlake, right? Those two matched up here in the CFP last year. But yeah, to Jonathan's point, Quinn wasn't just a top-rated quarterback, as I mentioned. He was the number one overall rated recruit in his class by not just 24/7 Sports, all the major recruiting services. And remember, guys. And I think this played a factor in why people say, oh, man, Quinn should have come back and gone for college for another year. Quinn was one of the first high school athletes to capitalize on NIL. When NIL was enacted, Ohio was one of the first states, Ohio and Texas, one of the first states to allow athletes to capitalize on NIL. So Quinn had significant, depending on what number you believe, north of seven-figure NIL deal. So Quinn has been making good money in college since he was a freshman, right? So that played a factor in why he didn't go back to college. But yeah, Quinn wasn't just again a top-rated recruit. He was Arch Manning before Arch Manning. That's the easiest way to sum it up.
Yeah, he made a good deal going to Ohio State, skipping his senior year of high school. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to we almost got 100 people in here. Make sure you guys, if you're watching anywhere else, come on over to YouTube. Help support the channel. Hit that subscribe little bell, the thumbs up thing. I know it's annoying to ask, but it really helps the channel. All right, so let's go back. I mean, he had to fight off. You mentioned Arch Manning, right? How much pressure do you think? I mean, he had to fight him off for 2 years. How much pressure did you covering the team was that on Quinn? And what does that say about Quinn? Like, nobody. I don't think we talk about that enough, right, Eric? I mean,
no, I would agree with you. When you say how much pressure, there was never really any pressure from Steve Sarkeesian because Arch came in his freshman year in 2023, and the quarterback competition was open, but Quinn pretty quickly established that he was a head and shoulders above not just Arch Manning but Malik Murphy, who also was a 5-star recruit who was with the program at the time, right? The pressure that he had to feel was the Manning name, the fans. You guys are football guys, this. The backup quarterback is always the most popular guy in town. Then you add on the fact that backup quarterback is Arch Manning, who is, depending on who you ask, a hybrid of Peyton, Eli, and Archie in terms of his athletic ability, but also with the arm, right? And that was real, George. That was 100% real. I don't know how closely you guys know. I'm sure Jonathan knows being in Texas. When Quinn Ewers went down and Arch Manning threw 4 touchdowns against UTSA last year, there were people who thought Quinn would never get the job back. There was talk about Arch being a Heisman candidate, right? And we're talking about the guy in Quinn Ewers who led Texas to Alabama, a place that Alabama doesn't lose, and beat the Nick Saban Crimson Tide, led them to Michigan just the week prior into the Big House, defeating the previous national champion, right? So it's not like we're talking about a guy who can't play, but no, that pressure was real. The Arch Manning shadow was real. It just wasn't real inside of Texas football, but everywhere else, it was real.
Yeah. What was his, Jonathan, I don't know if you have anything to add on that, on the Arch Manning relationship with Quinn.
Well, I think they established in the back that they were on the same page. Arch kind of made it clear that he knew his place. Quinn was the starter. So there was really never really tension between them. They got along pretty well from what I understood.
Yeah, you can Eric, what was the relationship like between them? Did they have a good relationship? Did you see any did Arch make it easy on him? Did Quinn make the whole situation how was the relationship?
No, Arch and Quinn were, I don't want to say they were best of friends, but they had a good relationship. And so I would say have a good relationship. You know, Arch understood what Arch is a unique guy in that, you know, you can, when you talk with him, you can forget that he's 19, because I think having the name Manning, and especially growing up in New Orleans, you know, 2 sets of legacies, 2 sets of generations, he's had to be a Manning from whenever he, you know, first stepped into the spotlight, right? So I'm only saying all that is to say Arch knows how to not feed the fire, feed the flames of, oh my gosh, here's the Manning coming in, right? So whether it was publicly, he was always supportive of Quinn, and also privately, those two, as best we understood it, got along pretty well.
Yeah. The other thing you mentioned, Sark praised Quinn. It seemed like they had a really good. He loved Quinn. What was the relationship like? I mean, did you see that why he was there? Like, this was his guy, right?
Undoubtedly. I mean, you could ask Texas fans. I wonder where, you know, Jonathan would fall on this one, right? There's some Texas fans who would say that to his detriment, Steve Sarkeesian stuck with Quinn Ewers, right? I don't agree with that. I think Quinn Ewers, if you look at what Steve wanted to do offensively over the past 2 years, Quinn was the right guy for that team. I can point directly to, and this, you know, should probably give some background as the player he is. Arch Manning's first start against Louisiana Monroe, right? They're talking about a G5 team from the Sun Belt. He went, if memory serves me correct, he completed 52% of his passes. Once he was 19 of 36, 19 of 37. There was a lack of rhythm in the offense because Arch was taking a lot of deep shots, right? You know, wanted to push the ball downfield, wanted to make the big play. Quinn, for whatever faults you could find with him with the deep ball, and trust me, they're legit faults. To spin it forward to Miami, when you got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, the expectation is that you can hit those guys deep, right? If you look at Quinn in Texas, he had Xavier Worthy, Adonai Mitchell, Jordan Whittington, Isaiah Bond, Matt Golden. Yep. We're talking about 5 guys. I mean, obviously, Isaiah Bond's off-field issues kept him out of the NFL. But we're talking about 5 guys plus 2 tight ends in Jatavian Sanders and Gunnar Helm. They're all in the NFL, okay? You better be able to hit those guys deep. And he struggled to do that. But for all of his faults there, that offense ran seamless when Quinn was in it in terms of getting the ball out of his hands quickly into the hands of the playmakers. So I only say that to say, George, when you talk about kind of Quinn and Steve's relationship, I think Steve saw the value in Arch in terms of quite frankly, Quinn was a big factor in Texas's resurgence, in bringing Texas to a space that, you know, I'm not going to take a cheap shot at the Hurricanes, but the Hurricanes are looking to find their glory from, you know, decades ago, right? Like, Quinn was the factor in helping Texas escape a decade of irrelevance. And I think because of that, Steve was very loyal to Quinn in addition to his talents.
Yeah, I mean, I was obviously when they drafted him, the Dolphins, obviously we do a big draft show here and we go through prospects. We went through Quinn, and I tried to convince myself on Quinn. And Jonathan was always in the chat.
I was preaching at him all the time. I was preaching at him. I said, we're going to get Quinn Ewers. He was like, no. It's like, we're going to get him.
No, I knew they had interest. And again, I think he fits. I think this is the best spot for Quinn, to be honest. But he's had some big wins. The Alabama in 23, the Big 12 championship against Oklahoma State, last year versus Michigan. There were some big games. He's played well. I think people forget that a little bit. But, you know, if we're talking about the scouting report on Quinn, here's what I saw, Eric, and here's my concern. The injuries, the body. How do I put this when I watch Quinn? A lot of it, the natural release, he's got with the flick of a wrist, I call it like a shortstop. The ball comes out, a lot of touch, the fastball. You know what I mean? And that's what I saw. Everybody said it, and that's what I saw. Like, I saw it more in 23. I thought he threw 95, 96 in the fastball. Now I see him throwing like 89, 90. Now, is it the oblique injury?
Yeah.
Is it that, is it going to come back? Because I think that difference on the fastball is what's going to make Quinn Ewers a chance even to be a backup quarterback, right? Because I do think he got in the right place, Eric.
Yeah, no, listen, as I said, Quinn Ewers can sling it. Quinn Ewers in a T-shirt and shorts can light it up, right? To your point about the fastball and kind of where you saw his trajectory in terms of his, arm velocity throwing from 23 to 24, there's no doubt that the oblique. And listen, I'm not trying to bash Texas in this regard, but they tend to be with who they want to be transparent with injuries, they'll be transparent. With who they do not want to be transparent with injuries, they won't be transparent. It was obvious to anyone watching that Quinn did not just strain an oblique, because that thing lingered for weeks. And yes, it seemed like, okay, if the strain is right, if the quote unquote strain is right, him coming back in 3-4 weeks sounds about right. But even then, he never seemed like the quarterback that he was just a week prior when they played at Michigan. I'll give you this example, George, when you talk about the injury history. Look at Quinn, his games coming back from injury in 2022. Remember, he got banged up in 2022 as well against Alabama, right? The game that Texas should have won the year before they ended up making the college football playoff. Quinn came back from injury and played well. When Quinn came back from the AC joint injury in 2023, suffered at Houston, he played well. So that led me to think, all right, if Quinn is struggling mightily as he is, then maybe he's just not fully healthy, right? So I think, to your point, yes, that certainly played a factor. And like I said, the deep ball, the thing that will separate Quinn Ewers from a guy who can stick around as a 10-year backup, because as we all know, being football guys, being a backup quarterback, it's 50% talent, 50% can you just not disturb the room, right? It's the Shedeur factor, right? Why some teams may have hesitated on drafting Shedeur, because it's like, all right, is this guy going to disturb our room, disturb our starter? Quinn is never going to rock the boat, right? He has all of that. But the thing in my mind that's going to separate him from being a 10-year career backup versus someone who can develop and push for a starting role is his ability to complete passes downfield, I'd say, north of 15, 20 yards in the air. If he can do that even at a one out of, I'd say, 40%, 1 out of 3, 33%, right? Because if you take a look at the numbers, I don't have them directly on me, George, but from my memory, I want to say Quinn was somewhere around 29, 30% over the past 2 years on passes that traveled more than 20 yards in the air. For comparison point, Jaden Daniels, who took over the NFL last year, Jaden Daniels last year in college, he was somewhere like 61%, right? So that's going to be the thing that will separate Quinn from just being a guy who sticks in the league for 10 years as a backup, as a third stringer, and someone who maybe can develop into someone who pushed for a starting role.
So you think the fastball can still come back? Like once he's healed, you think it's okay?
Yes.
What do you best case scenario for Quinn? Where's his ceiling for you? Having covered him and watched him, do you think he's being underrated in this process? And even his college career, I think, is a little underrated, Eric.
Listen, 20. You take Texas to 25 wins over the last 2 years. And Quinn missed, off the top of my head, how many starts. So basically, Quinn accounted for about 19, 20 of those 25 wins. 20. It was 20. Is
about like almost like two games each of the last 2 years, I think. Yeah. And then,
because he missed 2.5 this year and 2 last year. So counted for 20, 21 of those wins. Quinn's a winner. Part of the reason why and Jonathan alluded to this, part of the reason why I'm a little optimistic about Quinn's upside, remember, he got hurt in high school, so missed, I believe that was half of his sophomore year, if memory serves correct, or it might have been junior year, I can't remember which, and then skipped his senior year because he had to take the NIL, right? Reclassify, take the NIL. So you're still talking about a kid who still, in terms of, wasn't a 4-year starter in high school and then 4-year starter in college, still has a lot of football ahead of him. Best case scenario for me in terms of his ceiling, I think in a situation like Miami with a Mike McDaniel, it really depends what you think about Tua. I'll give you this, right? And obviously this hypothetical doesn't exist anymore because Quinn's Dolphin. But I'll give you this. I thought the perfect landing spot for Quinn would have been LA Rams because he can back up Matthew Stafford for 2 years, be in Sean McVay's offense that, again, while it's not the same as Mike McDaniel's, they do ask quarterbacks not necessarily to push it downfield every single play, right? It is a quarterback-friendly system. That I thought would have been the perfect scenario. So, yes, I do think in 2 years, if Quinn, is healthy and progresses and just has a chance, guys, last thing, or I won't say last thing, but something I think needs to be pointed out because I emphasize this on every time I do one of these and I'm talking about Quinn. This is the first time in his career the pressure's off. Jonathan talked about South Lake Carroll. South Lake Carroll is the St. Thomas Aquinas, is the Miami Northwestern of and we're talking about in Texas now, okay, how high school football is. He's had pressure on him since he was 14 years old. He comes to Texas, supposed to be the savior, right? Now he can just go be Quinn. He doesn't have to be Quinn Ewers. I think that's just as crucial to his development as anything else.
Yeah, that's a great point you make. And just hearing him, I mean, we'll talk in a little while with me and Jonathan about kind of the press conferences they had. You could tell he was prepared at the University of Tech. He's got some leadership. I could tell the way he speaks. Did guys follow him? Like, is he a guy who could cross the line of scrimmage as a leader, like in Texas?
Yeah, one of the reasons why I think it would have been challenging, not that players at Texas wouldn't have played for Arch, and we're even kind of seeing some of this now with Quinn being gone and Arch, having gone through spring workouts. You can see Arch's ability to step into the leadership role is easier because it's all guys that he came into college with, right? With Quinn, those guys who went 8-5 with him in 2022, those were his guys. His guys that went 12-2 with them, 12-2 in 2023, and went 13-3 in 2024. Those were his guys, right? So yes, Quinn has, whether it is, and here's the thing about Quinn, I think fans should know, he is, depending on who you ask, I would say Quinn is somewhat shy. Now that could just be shy with the media, okay? Because his teammates have always said that he's, that they follow him. But Quinn is not going to be the vocal rah-rah, even on the sideline, right? He's not going to be demonstrative, slamming his helmet, yelling at guys.
Oh, yeah.
But they follow him. That's key, right? And Jonathan probably speaks to this too. You're never going to see Quinn, like a Baker Mayfield, for example, when he was in college, firing up the whole team. It's just not his personality, right? And I don't know if I don't know if it's a shy thing or he's just a little more reserved, but he's never had an issue from the people we talked to inside the building getting them to follow him.
Right.
That's a lot related to Tua, honestly. You don't see Tua like getting angry and pissed off like that on the sidelines. Yeah.
How do you think he'll mesh knowing Quinn with Tua? Do you think he's going to be an easy guy to kind of get along with? Because that's an issue that they've worried. The Dolphins have always kind of been careful who they brought in that room with Tua's psyche. Like, it's been, they had to rehabilitate him from the Brian Flores experience and build his confidence. I know for a fact that, they were careful. That's why I didn't think the Shedeur Sanders on surface in the 5th round was a good idea. I just didn't know if all that, and that kind of bothers me, Eric, in part because Tua's in his 5th year. If my quarterback is worried about we're bringing in a 5th round quarterback, he's not my guy, right? But you mentioned the NIL money, and kind of bothers me that they criticize Quinn about, you should have went back. How true was that? What offers? I've heard $8 million. I don't believe that. I probably, you could tell me 3 or 4. Yeah, I buy it. But like we criticize guys who come back and take the money. But what was the main reason you think he went out? A, he wanted the Texas legacy, and both, he just wanted to go play ball in the pros, man.
It's the two things you just said. One, Quinn Ewers cared a lot, and this was kind of a frustration of mine. Listen, I have great respect for Nicole Auerbach from The Athletic and NBC Sports. Nicole is great. I've met her a couple of times. She's great. Nicole's better at this job than I ever will be, right? But I read her column saying that Quinn should have left, and it just was short-sighted because you could have made one phone call to anyone near Quinn Ewers and heard from them directly. He cared about his legacy as a Texan. He is a Texas kid through and through, wants to be able to come back to the University of Texas and be remembered as the guy who, again, led Texas out of that dark period, a decade of irrelevance in college football. That mattered to him. Had Quinn Ewers, especially George and Jonathan, this being in Texas, especially with Arch coming behind him.
Oh, yeah.
If Quinn Ewers had left and went to West Virginia and then Arch takes them to the CFP and maybe they win the whole thing, it's going to be Quinn who, all right? Whereas if he ends this thing as Texas's quarterback, he at least is remembered as the guy who ushered in whatever Arch is going to do. He's the guy who paved the way for that. That's step one. Step two, and Jonathan talked about it, right? Quinn Ewers is not really a secret. Quinn Ewers has been developed to be a quarterback, an NFL quarterback, from the time he was a kid. Okay. And I don't mean that as a negative, like, oh my God, they're, feeding the kid, grilled chicken and broccoli at 6 years old. I just mean everything about his talents has been, let's try and develop and get the most out of this. So I do think at a certain point, as I mentioned, Quinn had a 7-figure NIL deal coming out of high school. He made a good amount of money. If I had to put a number on it at Texas, or let's just say ending his college career, I would say Quinn's probably ending his college career somewhere close to $8-9 million in revenue, right? NIL revenue. It's not like he needed another check. So, yeah, why not go start that NFL career?
Yeah, man. Shout out to, we almost got 200 people in here. Make sure you guys come over to YouTube and check us out on YouTube if you're watching on any other platform. We appreciate it. We're joined by Eric Henry, Texas beat writer for Horns 24/7. Of course, my co-host for tonight is Jonathan. You know him as honorary tartan. All right, my last question for you, and Jonathan, if you have anything after, go ahead and ask Eric. We talk about Archie Manning. What's the future look like there? How good is this kid? Is he, from what you've seen? I know, like, because sometimes we put expectations on players, and if there's one mistake, he's going to be under scrutiny. And part two of that question, you think he comes out in 27 draft, not 26, right?
I'll work in reverse.
Okay.
Yes. Arch Manning is my belief that he's not come out in 26. I'm not going to reveal who I spoke to, but I spoke with someone who is, how can I describe them? They are a noted figure in New Orleans, in athletics, in football, who said that they had a conversation with the elder Manning, with Archie Manning, right? And Archie Manning said this, and it's true. When has a Manning ever left early? Eli Manning stayed 4 years. Peyton Manning stayed 4 years. So, yeah, and I even remember reading an old football book. You know, I'm 33, so I don't remember this vividly, but I remember reading Keyshawn Johnson's rookie year book when he talks about, yeah, maybe we'll just draft Peyton Manning in 97, right, which would have been his junior year. Nope. Right. It was stay 4 years, right? So you have to look at the precedent there. The first part of your question in terms of is Arch as hyped up as he is, listen, I don't know if anyone can live up to the hype that people have. I mean, we're talking about LeBron James level, you know, Shohei Ohtani level hype, right? Zion, when he first came out, level hype, right? But I will say this. If there's anyone who I think can get close to that, it's Arch Manning. The arm jumps off at you get a chance to, George, you get a chance to watch him. Yeah. Just in spring ball, the passes just jump off his hand. The athleticism is real. I understand he ran for a 65, 70-yard touchdown against UTSA.
Oh yeah.
But don't get me wrong. You remember that, Jonathan. He can do that.
Yes, I do.
Against our competition. Even the way that I measure this, having covered now Texas for 2 years, I go down and I watch warm-ups, and you watch Arch Manning in SEC competition. He looks every bit as athletic, every bit as physically gifted, and every bit as ready as any quarterback that we've covered, in the SEC and the Big 12. So, yeah, I think Arch, again, is he gonna come out and win the Heisman year one? Let's be rational with the expectation. But in terms of physical ability, yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
Jonathan, you got any questions for Eric?
I want to know how the team's going to look this year, man, with Arch Manning, because you just said, okay, so Ewers had Golden, Isaiah Bond, Xavier Worth, Bijan Robinson. Who's going to be our playmakers moving up? Because we lost a lot of our receiving core and weapons. Who's Arch going to have?
Well, depending on who you ask in Texas, the biggest offseason move was Bert Auburn heading to South Florida because they feel that they're going to have I'm kidding. That's a cheap shot at Bert. Hurricane fans, you're getting a steady kicker who had a bad year last year. No.
I called him Goldilocks. But
listen, Bert Auburn is going to stand out in South Florida. The first time, so he's having croquetas and cafe con leche for breakfast. I'm curious, cafecito for breakfast. I'm curious what that's going to be like. And for Quinn too, a bunch of North Texas kids. Listen, I could tell you stories from covering FIU of kids who come from Texas or Louisiana and come to South Florida and they don't eat for the first 2 months because they're not familiar with food in South Florida, right?
They're missing out, man. They're missing out.
Floridians like us, listen, that's more for us, okay? But Jonathan, to your question, no, listen, Texas in terms of playmakers, CJ Baxter, I think you got to keep an eye on him coming back from the knee injury. For fans of this show may not know, CJ Baxter was the nation's #1 recruit coming out of Orlando Edgewater High School. Suffered a knee injury last year. Yeah. But keep an eye on him. Quintravian Wisener's a 1,000-yard rusher. Really, I think this team, Jonathan, defense. If Dolphins fans, I guess to give Fins fans some names to maybe know for 2026.
I was gonna ask you that.
Anthony Hill Jr. And I think for Miami fans, hopefully you're not picking high enough to get Ant Hill, but this guy's legit. Okay, 117 tackles last year, 17 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks, a stud linebacker. His dad actually is from South Florida, so got a South Florida tie there, but he's a stud. Michael Taff in the secondary. That's a stud guy, safety to keep an eye on as well. 2027 draft, Colin Simmons. George, I'm sure you do not know this name now. I am telling you, he's going to wreck college football this year. The quickest first step. We're talking Micah Parsons, Abdul Carter level.
Chop Robinson? Are we talking Chop Robinson first step?
He's legit. So
you're giving me some homework, man. You're giving me some homework.
Yeah, there are plenty of guys. Malik Muhammad, in the secondary, others. So Jonathan, to your question, I think this is going to be a defensive team first. And then on offense, they're going to have to find some of those pieces, replacing 4 out of 5 offensive linemen, replacing some of the receivers, replacing Gunnar Helm. Of course, they went to the portal, grabbed a couple of guys. But defense is going to lead this team this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, we need another Tavondre Sweat.
Most definitely.
I was a huge fan of his. Everybody, everybody kind of, he went that high because he had that off the field issues. But I said, man, and that's why I'm glad the Dolphins drafted Kenneth Grant. Do you have any opinion, Kenneth, like from any of the guys the Dolphins drafted, like Sabanea, the guard, or Kenneth Grant? Did you watch them any against? I don't know if they played Texas or
we played Michigan week 2.
Yeah,
week 2. Do you have any impressions of Kenneth Grant? Would you remember? Or?
No, this is what I'll say. Both Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham, Jonathan remembers this, they were non-factors against Texas. And I'm not saying that, oh my gosh, that means they're going to be busting the NFL. It's just one game. It's just college, right? Yeah. But personally speaking, let me give you an example, George. I saw Georgia play Texas twice this year. Georgia's defense showed up each time. And the stars and the studs and the guys that got drafted showed up every single time, right? When the lights are the brightest and the biggest, that's when I want to see those guys show up and show out. So again,
the biggest guy that I wanted, and we didn't get him, but Andrew Makumba, the Ravens got a stud.
What, was it the Eagles? I think the
Philly
got him. Yeah, Philly got him.
And Philly gets him. Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, I remember because doing the tape, because I do a big board and watching the Michigan game. You're very right. They were very quiet. Watching the Texas Michigan game, they were very quiet. You bringing back memories. You're right about that. Before I let you go, I keep saying that because everything comes to my head. We had this conversation before the draft about Jahadi Barron.
Yeah.
Here's my question about Barron. I knew I saw him as a Swiss Army knife, but I wasn't comfortable saying purely outside corner with him. Mm-hmm. Like, I think the sum of the parts that he does might be better than truly. I think he's more of a Brian Branch type guy. What was your thoughts on Barron as a pure outside corner?
As a pure outside corner, he exceeded my expectations. Right. Again, for fans who don't know, Jahdae Barron played most of his career in the slot at nickel corner. Texas calls the star position, right? They decided because Jahdae could have came out last year, but would have been a 5th, 6th round pick or somewhere in that range, day 3, and decided to bet on himself, shifted outside. And listen, he locked up everyone he faced. I was never worried about Jahdae's athleticism because that's not his game. He doesn't rely on speed to beat you. Jahdae Barron is the smartest college football player I've ever covered.
Wow.
I've done this 8-9 years. The smartest. Again, of course, he doesn't play for the Dolphins, but if the Dolphins played, Denver, I would tell any Dolphin fan or anyone who just wants to know him as a player, go turn on the tape of him versus Wyoming 2023. Okay, you're saying against Wyoming, that's a G5 team, so on and so forth. He knew the plays before they were happening. Jahdae Barron was making tackles behind the line of scrimmage from his star position. But to your question, in terms of him as an outside corner, I'm optimistic based on the fact that he's going to play opposite Pat Surtain II. I think that will help him. I genuinely felt, George, and I'm not just saying this as a Tampa guy, as a homer, I thought the best fit for him would be Tampa 1 pick earlier at 19. If for no other reason, if you take a look at his time at Texas, He played with Tavondre Sweat, played with Manny Muhammad, played with Andrew Makuba, Michael Taft, Simmons, Hill, Jalen Ford, Barron Sorrell. I'm trying to think of guys who've been drafted this year, Barron Sorrell, et cetera, et cetera. I thought him going to Tampa and playing with Avita Vea, Levante David, and Antoine Winfield would allow more of the Swiss Army knife capabilities that you saw, him to play outside corner and do those things. So I'll be curious to see how Denver uses him. But my gut, and I'm not doubting Johnny, but my gut tells me you're not getting the most out of him if you only use him at outside corner.
It's exactly what I thought when everybody was talking about the Dolphins taking him at 13. And I was kind of, you that first week leading up to the draft, I was kind of buying into it. I said, man, are they going to take him? I just didn't see, like you said, when I say Brian Branch, because I call those guys, I always go back to, as a Dolphin fan, Zach Thomas.
Sure.
They're 2 or 3 yards ahead of the play. That makes them so much faster than they really are. I didn't see a 4.39 guy on film. I was shocked that he ran that. But I thought if you put him on outside corner, he might be solid, but I think you get a special player if you move him all around like a Brian Branch. So that's all I was curious, your opinion on him. And, Kelvin Banks going in the top 10. Did that surprise you?
No.
He's
listen.
that good, huh? Yeah, I saw him on tape. Okay, let me just give you my quick I warmed up to him. I said, wow, okay, I see it. First, I was like, I didn't love what I saw. Then some people said, keep going and watch him. And I watched him. I said, okay, I get it. What he does on the second level, all those things in his movement ability. I was like, I could see that it's a perfect fit for the Dolphins. I bought into it towards the end. But I didn't, for a while, I was a little surprised he went in the top 10, but I kind of heard that it was going to happen as high as the Raiders at 6. Were you surprised? Is he that kind of guy when you're covering Kelvin Banks?
Yeah, I'll be quick here on Kelvin. You're talking about a guy who stepped in as a true freshman and has held down that left tackle spot ever since. I saw the talk about short arms, this, that, the other. Okay, I get it. It's draft time. Sometimes you got to pick apart guys, so on and so forth. Kelvin Banks, in my mind, whether he becomes a, insert star left tackle your choice who is an all-pro for 12 years, maybe that's debatable. But I'm telling you, you're getting a Pro Bowl level player for a decade. I believe that.
That's worth every bit of the 9th pick in the draft. All right, Eric, we kept you longer than we expected. You're a pleasure to talk to, man. I could go on for hours. I'd love to have you on again for whatever reason. Make an excuse. We'll have you on again, Eric. Thank you so much, man. Before you go, tell everybody what you're working on here. Where can people find your work, Eric?
Yeah, no, listen, always a pleasure, especially, get a chance to come on and do something for, the home team in the state of Florida. Always a pleasure of mine. You can find me on Twitter at @EricCHenry_. Find my Texas football coverage. Also right now, it's college baseball season. So the Longhorns gearing up. They were the number 1 team in the nation, now number 3. I can find baseball coverage, basketball coverage at horns247.com. And outside of that, looking forward to getting back home for a few weeks, a little vacation, get the batteries recharged, and then football season never ends. So we'll be back in Texas looking at a fall camp coming up here pretty soon.
All right, man. Jonathan, any parting words for our guy Eric here?
Eric, if you're ever in San Antonio, let me know. Get with me. I'll show you some good Tex-Mex food. But hey, man, hook 'em horns.
No doubt, man.
Good to have you on here, man.
All right.
Appreciate
you,
you.
Have a good one, man.
You too.
All right. Awesome guest, man. Awesome, awesome guest, Eric Henry. Make sure you guys go follow him on Twitter. I'll probably put in the YouTube description his stuff and where you can find him at Horns 24/7. Does great work, and he gave us some great insight, Jonathan, on Quinn Ewers and also the other guys. His Jahadi Barron take was the same take I had during the draft process. Yeah. Putting him in outside corner, I think it's hurting him. But look, he's playing against PS2 with Patrick Surtain too in Denver. So, all right, let's switch it over here to the home team, the Dolphins. Your other love, right? Your other love. Let's get away from too much Texas for me. I'm a UM guy, but
I love my Longhorns and I love my Dolphins. So
yeah. So let's get to the Dolphins part. We had rookie mini camp here. Before we get into, I haven't got your thoughts on the draft and all that. Kind of tell me your thoughts on the Dolphins draft and everything.
Well, the guy we were just talking about, Kelvin Banks Jr., if he was there and we were going offensive line, that's who I wanted at 13. But I thought we were going to go Will Johnson. If I'm my unbiased opinion on that, I thought we were going to, but then he started slipping. So, but Kenneth Grant, I'm stoked with the pick at number 13. Jonah, a big guard to plug in, helps our offense out just as much. So we're building the trenches on both sides of the ball, which is what I really wanted out of this draft. I knew we weren't going to go a lot of skill player, which is cool. Quarterback, I didn't think we were going to get Quinn Ewers, but it happened. So I'm going to be more happy.
I know
the guys from
go ahead.
The guys from Maryland, right? Yeah, those.
Oh,
the Terps, the two Terps players. Those guys are
Jordan Phillips and Dante Trader Jr.
Yeah, I'm excited for those guys as well. So I think we did pretty good.
What did you think about the trade back? Did you not like the distance between pick 37 and 143?
I think I was like, at the time, I was like, man, we're about to pick. And now I'm like, damn, I got to wait. But you know what? I was like, it's going to pay off, especially next year, too. Like, we're not going to be complaining about them picking up extra picks. So,
yeah,
I think it was a good trade back.
Who was your favorite pick of the day 3 guys besides Quinn? I know where you're going.
Besides Quinn Ewers, yeah. I'm going to say probably – I'm going to say that corner we got from Florida.
Marshall, huh? Interesting. A lot of people don't like that pick.
Yeah, I think you can't go wrong at corner right now because, you know, with the whole Jalen Ramsey thing and, you know, we needed a corner, I believe, like opposite of Ramsey before all this drama started. Now it's like, okay, now we got 2 holes to fill. So you can't go wrong and have too many corners to experiment with. So,
yeah, man, I agree. And let's talk about the rookie minicamp that just happened, right? I wanted to bring up this picture of these guys because there wasn't much to get out of the rookie minicamp, but it's kind of good to your first impression, see them in the Dolphins.
Yeah, they're just
see their numbers.
Just getting their feet wet.
Yeah, they're, sometimes you look at a guy, you scout him, then you see him in person. What's your perception of this guy? Is he, is he shorter? Is he bigger? Is he is his body, is he wider? Or you know what I mean? How is he cut? These kind of things. So I thought it was really good. Let's bring up this picture here that I had of the rookies, and this is how you kind of look at this class.
Yeah.
I mean, Zeke Biggers is absolutely humongous. You know what I mean? He is. What stands out when you look at this picture?
Definitely number 93. That guy's huge, man. And then Jonah. I mean, to see how much taller and bigger they are compared to Quinn.
Yeah,
crazy.
Quinn is small. Yeah, bigger. There's a lot of meat there.
Yeah.
Kenneth Grant looks big, but next to Biggers, he even looks small.
Yeah.
Savanea is big. He's just naturally big.
He's a definition of guard.
Yeah, he looks like a guard, right? If you told me he was a right tackle in college, I would have said, really?
But I believe he was what they said. He's versatile. He can play all over the line. He's not just guard, center, tackle. He can play anything.
Yeah, right. And so, Jordan Phillips there, 94, Jason Ollie Gordon. Look at his legs, 31. This is a big group. Even Jason Marshall at corner. So, it's a good-looking group, right? You kind of get your first assessment of these guys in these rookie mini camps. And the one thing I noticed that jumped out to me is these guys are impressive speakers.
Yep.
And there was a lot in these interviews there was a lot of this culture change talk. I heard it numerous times. Culture change. Kenneth Grant, their first round pick, said, "I'm a culture changer." There was very clearly a message and a kind of theme. They wanted guys who love football, guys who they think are leaders, been leaders in college. Because, Jonathan, let's be honest, this locker room is not in a good place right now.
No, it needs to be turned around. It needs some positivity. It needs a spark is what it needs. I mean, we need guys that want to be here, guys to build around, guys for the future. I mean, and, like a lot of people think, like I am a big Quinn supporter or whatever, but, at the same time, I'm not ready to kick Tua to the curb, man. I think gives us the best opportunity to win, but what I like about the Quinn Ewers pick the most is, last year, him going down in the Bills game, we had no plan, and it kind of like killed our season in a way. So I feel like now
we can go in with a little bit of confidence in case that situation happens again. We're a little bit more prepared. And I think that's what I'm looking forward to, is having Quinn prepared if that situation comes up, so.
Yeah, shout out to, we got 218 people. Shout out to everybody in the trap, Kosa, Elwood, Cliff, KC, Go Time, Finn, Sammy, the Dive Bar, everybody in the chat. Thank you, guys. Make sure you come over to YouTube, guys. Smash that little thumbs up. Smash that subscribe button. We just had Eric Henry of Horns 24/7 talking, giving his insight on Quinn Ewers and also the Archie Manning and other Texas prospects. He even gave us some names for the 27 draft to keep an eye out. And of course, we're joined by Jonathan, my co-host, his birthday boy, Jonathan, co-host. And co-host. Yeah, everybody wish Jonathan a happy birthday. He was kind enough to join us tonight on his birthday. He could be doing other things. We appreciate that. Intelligence, talent, and maturity, says Kosa. Yeah, I saw. Let's go through some of these guys. Kenneth Grant. You looking at him in the few clips I saw, big. What I thought is kind of a good chubby guy, right? Like he's not like if that's it's good fat, right? If that's the best way to
athletic style guy.
It's an athletic fat. I wish I was that, right? I got one part of that. I didn't get the other. So, and he says, and I mentioned at the top, I'm a culture changer. Again, he's talked about getting in the building, getting to work early. Just, he was quick on his feet. In the few videos I saw, you see that he's very light on his feet for a big guy. So the body weight might look bad, but it's not bad. He plays with it well. Jonathan, you agree?
Yeah, definitely. And have some like lightweight, but big can move around real quick. That's what you want.
Yeah, and Savanea. Sorry, you're breaking up there a little bit, Jonathan. Savanea was the guy who, or Savia. He said it in his interview how to say his name. Do you know how to say it? I'll let you go first.
Dude, I saw the interview of him trying to how to pronounce it, but
he's like Hawaii. He was like, substitute the H and the Y in Hawaii. I'm like, dude, you confused me even more.
Yeah, no.
Jonas. Again, what I thought naturally, like a lot of people said, like if you told me it was 305, I would have believed you. If you told me he was a guard, I would have believed you. He's just naturally big. His arms are big. He's that. His personality was that toned back Polynesian kind of behavior. Oh, wait a minute. Breaking news. We have a special guest on the program. Hold on one second. It's the boy.
There he is.
Bobby from the Dive Bar Podcast.
Hell yeah.
Dude, Jonathan's face when you said that.
I was like,
he messaged me. I was like, come on, man, hurry.
Well, I seen the guy jump off. It was kind of early. I was like, if they're still going to keep going, I got to jump on and wish my boy Jonathan happy birthday, man.
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate it, bro.
Absolutely.
You're not going to get out that easy, bro, that way you're on here, bro. What did you think of Eric Henry? Yeah, we had Eric Henry. Great dude. Really cool
he's
dude.
Awesome.
So what did you think, man? What do you think of the new guys in the unis? Anything? First of all, any numbers bother you guys? I'm a big numbers guy, right? My favorite is that 29 Dante Trader Jr. number. That one looks good.
Yeah, that's probably like the only good fit, honestly, right now.
I didn't like that 31 on Ozzy.
Yeah.
No, that's weird. Also the I don't really like Ewers in 14 either.
A little Fitzpatrick action?
Yeah.
That's kind of like the natural go-to for the backup quarterback position for the Dolphins, it seems.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't mind. I think Jordan Phillips looks natural in 94. Kenneth Grant, I'm fine with 90. I was wanting like 98.
Yeah.
But I think 98 would look good on
99
him.
99 would have been obviously even better, but he wasn't getting that,
Yeah.
Who else saw the number? I can bring that picture up.
We need Quinn to get number 3 back. KJ Britt.
Number 3?
Yeah, I want Quinn to be number 3.
There it is, Bobby. There's the boys, Bobby. Look at Jonah, bro.
Dude, Jonah's so happy to
Jonah.
be there.
Oh, I can't wait for preseason to see Jonah.
I can't wait for preseason.
Jason Marshall Jr. is pretty big, huh?
Yeah, I
Like,
was gonna say one thing. I agree with Jonathan. I'm pretty excited about Jason Marshall Jr. I've heard a lot of good things about him.
Yeah.
Plus, like you said, he's actually built really well.
Yeah.
Like this dude looks the part.
Oh, I'll tell you this. When I watch him, he's just inconsistent. But I'll tell you, Bobby, and you know I watch a lot of this stuff. He's covered some of the best prospects, SEC receivers, mirrored guys, no problem. He's just inconsistent, and he don't want to tackle nobody. He don't want to come up and hit anybody. And he sometimes relies on his 5-star ability a little bit too much. But if he gets it right together, this is a empty cornerback room. You're gonna tell me Jason Marshall Jr. can't compete with Cam Smith and Store Duck? I don't know about you guys, but I think it's a possibility. We don't know. Unless Bobby has an update on the Jalen Ramsey situation.
There's no update on that. We're waiting on June 1st. That's really the reality of that situation.
Yeah. So another guy too, man. I don't know about Bobby, Jonathan. You guys hear them talk? I said it. You could tell they were going for guys who love ball, man.
Oh yeah.
Love ball. They were committed to ball, leadership. It was pretty obvious. They were like Dante Trader Jr. was impressive talking. I keep going, and Bobby, I told you that right when they drafted him. Yo, you're gonna like this kid, right?
Yeah, you did.
and I don't know what it's going to turn out, but if the testing doesn't, testing means something, right? But man, when you watch his tape, you're like, dang, he don't look that slow. I mean, that lacrosse background. When you went back and saw him, Bobby, what did you like? Like going back and because you went to see him, you're like, oh, okay, I see it now, right?
Yeah, like what you said about him not looking that slow. I think when you got it between the ears, you're a step ahead of everybody else. You make up for a lot. And I feel like the Dolphins are pretty good at that, like late round, high IQ, high, ball skill knowledge guys. Like he reminds me of like a poor man's Brandon Jones, because Brandon Jones was fast. Like he was a scud
Brandon
missile.
Jones come up, hit you too, man.
Yeah. So I really like his game. And like you said, a high character guy. Everybody you talk to loves the kid. So like everyone was impressed with him with interviews and stuff like that. So yeah, man, I'm excited about Trader.
What about I'll tell you a guy I've been hearing a lot. I heard a lot about this weekend, Theo Weiss. And I always say follow the money. Follow the money, because when the Dolphins pay you, like for Storm Duck, I think Kader Kahu, even what was the defensive tackle they got at USC that year, who was on the team a few years? Brandon Peely, you know?
Oh yeah, Brandon
Peely. They paid him a ton of money. People don't realize that they paid Theo Weiss the most. I think they even gave him like a 3-year kind of thing, or some weird thing like that. Like which of these UDFAs are you guys looking forward to the most? Is it the receivers?
Probably Armstrong. Armstrong sticks out obviously like a sore thumb. Also, I love Saunders, the safety from Ole Miss.
He'll hit you.
Yeah, I really love him. He's talk about a freak. That dude's built, dude.
He looks the part too. That's why,
One thing I will say about the money thing though is I remember a couple years back, I don't even remember those guys' name now. There was 2 guards they paid a shit ton of money to, and like they didn't even make, like, they cut them preseason. Like they cut them early.
Yeah. No.
I was like, these guys are definitely going to be locked in. Go ahead and count that. Yeah, Conyers looks good. Conyers is like a Swiss Army knife. Just he couldn't have gotten a better situation as far as learning behind Johnny too.
70. Yeah, I'm not mad at the 72 for do you know how to say his last name, Bobby? Savi.
I couldn't.
He said it's like
Hawaii.
Savai Nai.
Jonah S, man. It's got to be
Savai Nea. I think it's Savai Nea.
Oh, I'm just happy he's in uniform. We got the schedule release coming up, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
You got anything to announce, Bobby? We're gonna wait. We're gonna wait on that. We're gonna wait.
Dude, you know what's funny? I got home and my wife was like, "Oh, I got a thing Wednesday night." I said,
oh man.
No. The show goes on. The show always goes on. It is what it is. I'll take the risk of the kids running in here or whatever. She goes, "I got a thing Wednesday night." I said, "Oh, what time?" She just kind of tried to play it cool.
Did she have a thing on the draft night too?
The whole draft weekend. That's why I'm saying I've learned that, especially with my boy George. He makes me comfortable.
Yeah.
It is what it is too. Like the dive bar has always been like a very natural, like people get phone. Like we're not like well put together. Things happen. Like, and I got 2 kids. There's no way around that.
Yeah, dude. I love when you two when they buy it. Every time I'm on the phone, Bob, he's like telling his kid to go.
Dude, everybody says it. Like, dude, every time I call you, your kids are acting up. It's like, dude, they are so good. It's dude. It's like something about kids when they see you on the phone, man, they want to turn up on you.
Yeah. No, it's good. Yeah. I guess we'll say. Well, I'll let you make that scheduled call.
Oh no, we can say. Yeah, my wife's going to be going, but yeah, Wednesday night we're going to go live over on the dive bar. George is going to join us. Don't know exactly what pairing of people is going to be there, but Wednesday night we're going to go live for the schedule release. And we're going to kind of just break it down, see if there's any major storylines, what stands out, certain dates, certain matchups. We're going to roast the Dolphins team for putting out a crazy bad announcement video, of course, because I'm sure they're going to drop the ball and, stuff like that.
Yeah. I want to see who's playing late in the year.
Yeah. We don't know who will be on, but we'll be on, right? There
you go.
Yeah. I guess the last thing we'll do here is give me your prediction on who the Dolphins open up against. On record, who is it? I always like to do this. Dolphins open up against who?
Pull up the opponents.
All right, let's go. Let me get that.
I'm going to say Baltimore or a division opponent.
I'm not feeling that week 1, bro. Don't do that.
I mean, I don't want it, but I feel it.
Dude, that would be worst case scenario.
Because the NFL don't like us.
That would put us out of our misery pretty quick. At least we'll be healthy. Knock on wood, hopefully.
Hopefully it's against the Jets or somebody.
I just hope it ain't the Patriots again. Although, I mean, the Patriots is such a different team now. That could be exciting.
They're going to be good.
I want a home matchup, but man, those away ones look good. Dude, the Saints week 1 would be juicy.
Yeah.
Just for like a good
Oh, you know what? Maybe Tampa.
Yeah, that could make sense.
I could see Tampa Bay.
Let me see here. Let me give my. Let me scroll down. All right, so Buffalo, Carolina, Jets. So it says, do we think it's a division week 1? I'm gonna go. We know it's not the Commanders. I kind of like your Bucks. Who said that, Jonathan?
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interstate rival or a division rival, honestly.
Yeah.
Dude, imagine if they gave us the Chargers week 1 at Miami.
That
would be a storyline for the next 3 months. That would carry
honestly, we want like somebody like the Jets on the road week 1, right? Not only because what I think of the Jets, but like, let's get those cold weather games out of the way. What about
week 1 games scare me because you just don't know. Like teams can break out everything they got week 1. You don't know what you're really getting. So it's easy to be like, oh, we want this team. They suck. But
did we open up at home last year? Who did we play there?
We played Jacksonville.
At home. Damn near
lost. What about a road Indianapolis game at Lucas Oil?
We always lose to the Colts and Indy. I wouldn't be against it. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. It's too hard to give me your final prediction. Go ahead, John.
I'm going Buccaneers week 1.
Buccaneers. Bobby?
That makes a lot of sense.
You can pick the same way.
No. We're not going to do that. I'm going to go. I just want that. That's all that is.
What do you want? Chargers?
Saints. Yeah, I'll go with it. From Louisiana, and that would be a great first week. Great week 1 in Miami. We can all get together. Also got some future stuff developing with that. New Orleans, week 1, Miami. Let's go.
I'm there.
I'm gonna go Carolina Panthers week 1.
Hey, that'd be awesome. I had to make the flight to North Carolina. My dad already bought his tickets.
I'll do that for you. That's why I'll do that. But it should be fun. The schedule and we always love a good schedule release, and I'm happy to do it. I'm ready. Bobby on the dive bar. What happened?
Ready to book some flights, man.
You coming down, John?
I'll be at the home opener. I'm always at the home opener.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my tradition too.
Shout out to 244 people we got in the room. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. I know I keep saying it, but all the podcasters know it's how you keep going, and it's complicated, but it's simple. We appreciate it. All right, we've gone an hour already. I think we can go ahead and wrap this one up. I'll be on Thursday with Jason Sarney in the on season. We'll also go over the schedule with Jason. But Wednesday, I'll be making an appearance, tentatively scheduled on the dive bar. They'll put out.
I'll be watching.
Yeah.
Oh, Jonathan's always in the building.
Hey, Jonathan came big with that dive bar hat on, bro. You got to
Dude, what's crazy is I said two things before I even realized he's wearing the damn hat.
Yeah. I need another one. I need one for my dad.
Yeah, we got Joe put the order in. They're getting made.
Yeah.
We'll see when that comes through, but it shouldn't be long.
Yeah. And again, Bobby, tell everybody you guys going on Tuesday, right? Or is that scheduled or?
Nothing official, but we should be live like normal on Tuesday at 7 Eastern. That's kind of our every week we try to stick to that just to be consistent with our following. We are trying to expand a little bit in the future, hopefully, so we'll see how that goes. We're trying to maybe adding a couple new people to the group. Maybe not changing our Tuesday thing, but maybe adding another show, for the week.
You never know. There could be some future Finn's Faithful and Bobby collabs. You never know. But he's got bigger names before me. I'll let you guys know that.
But don't let him downplay himself. If it was my way, we'd have a Finn Faithful merger. But I'm still working on him. I got to butter him up a little bit more.
No, man. This is. Hey, thanks for coming, bro. I can't thank you enough, Jonathan. Your birthday, dude. You hopping on here, man. Dude,
no other place I'd rather be, man.
I appreciate that, man. That means a lot to me. That shows a lot about you. And I promised you I'd get you on to talk about the draft and talk about Texas. And when I knew I was having Eric on, man, I said, "Yo, I got to go to Jonathan, get him on." And I was talking to Bobby, and he said great things about you too, man. A little while ago, we were talking on the phone. We do have a relationship outside of the podcast, me and Bobby. We're human.
Bobby's a great guy, man.
Yeah. And he said, "Oh man, Jonathan's great." And so I thank you, Jonathan. Any parting words on your birthday? Any parting words? And we wish you a happy birthday, many, many more, brother. I hope you enjoy the rest of your birthday. Where can people find you and everything you do on your great stuff on social media?
And just find me at Honorary Titan on Twitter, X, defending Quinn Ewers, defending the Dolphins.
Quinn Ewers.
No, I'm just kidding.
Wait. Last question. Is Quinn Ewers going to make the 53? Better question. Is he the backup quarterback?
He is.
Stand on that island, Jonathan. Stand on that island.
He will be the backup quarterback. Zach Wilson's going to take this back seat right there on number 3.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yep.
Oh, do you agree with that? No comment, right?
Nope. But no, I appreciate everybody for the birthday wishes and everything and coming and wishing happy birthdays and stuff. So appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. For Bobby, for Jonathan, for myself, guys. Thank you for joining it. We'll be back Thursday with Jason on the on season. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And everybody, fins up. We're out.
Come on, fins up.